Today, on January 6th, we commemorate a glorious event. We remember the wise men who traveled a great distance for their leader, the true leader of us all, in defiance of an unjust government. The celebrations today will be wonderful, but can you imagine the blessedness of having actually been there when the event took place? An event that changed the world infinitely for the better. I'm Micheal Knowles, and this is the Feast of the Epiphany. Welcome back to the show. What a wonderful day. Boy, do I love January 6th. My favorite comment from Sergio Soto, who says, I'm not just celebrating January 6th once, but twice. Celebration number one, the Epiphany. Celebration number two, my birthday. Oh, that's wonderful. Even more reasons to celebrate January 6th. You know, the celebration on January 6th is when it recognizes when the Magi, following the star, made it to Bethlehem to behold the baby Jesus and to bring him gifts of frankincense and myrrh and gold. And when you want to acquire gold, I would strongly recommend you check out birch gold. That was the greatest transition ever to be done in the history of this show. Miraculous, you might call it. And that makes perfect sense because today we celebrate this wonderful miracle, the star that leads the Magi to Bethlehem to behold the Lord of the world. Did anything else happen today? Nothing of note as far as I'm concerned. The reason I keep bringing up January 6th as being the Feast of the Epiphany is, one, because it's a genuinely wonderful holiday and we should acknowledge it. But two, because we need to just ignore the libs' histrionics about January 6th, the worst insurrection, the day that our sacred Capitol building was the day that what happened? The day that some people busted into the Capitol, that some people were just allowed in, were welcomed in through open doors. No one died, as the newspapers told us they did. No, there were no governments were overturned. A guy in a horn hat danced around, and some other smiley guy took Nancy Pelosi's lectern, and now they're all rotting away in prison. That's the issue here that the left understands that the right apparently has forgotten is that all politics is religious. You might not want it to be religious. You might want to have a firm separation of church and state. Keep your religion out of my politics, but it's not possible. As Cardinal Manning says, all human conflict ultimately is theological. This is how January 6th became a sacred feast day, a major feast day on the secular liturgical calendar. All cultures have religious views, have religious practices, have religious feast days. And so what the left has done is kicked out all the old, normal, good ones and replaced them with their crazy secular saints and secular feast days and secular rituals. And this is also why the conservatives who are spending all day defending January 6th and defending the horn hat guy or whatever, they're a little bit misguided too. It's a losing game. However you react to January 6th and the Capitol and the insurrection, however you react to it, you are playing into the left's hands. Whether you're defending it, whether you're bemoaning it and saying, I'm sorry, it was horrible, it was terrible. Either way, you are granting the left's absurd premise that this relatively trivial political event, especially trivial when you consider the actual insurrection that took place for a year with BLM riots attacking federal courthouses and killing dozens of people. When you look at this relatively trivial political event and you pretend and you accept the left-wing premise that the horn hat guy dancing in the Capitol Rotunda was some sort of world historic event, which it was not. Okay, it's a lose-lose thing. What I would recommend you do, as I intend to do, is just ignore the libs' histrionics. Don't grant the premise. It just, in the grand scheme of American politics, the insurrection it just wasn't that big a deal. I know we're not allowed to say that. But truly in the grand scheme of all the threats to our republic, of all the insurrections, of all the attacks on the Capitol, there have been many attacks on the Capitol, of all the insurrections, even from the year running up to January 6th, it just wasn't that important. Okay, so what I would recommend you do is spend January 6th praying. It's good. Maybe go to church. And maybe have a nice meal with your family if you can. Maybe fight to make the country a better place. And don't take the bait from the libs. A lot of people are doing that. Donald Trump gets this. He totally gets this. President Trump, I didn't even know he had scheduled this, but he had scheduled a press conference for the anniversary of January 6th. And had I known that he had done that, I would have advised him to cancel the press conference, but didn't even need to because he already canceled it. He sent out a memo. You can't say he tweeted anymore because he got booted from Twitter, but he sends out these press releases, which are just tweets, and then he sends them out, and then people tweet the pictures of them. So this is what he said. In light of the total bias and dishonesty of the January 6th unselect committee of Democrats, because they're not the highest selection, two failed Republicans and the fake news media, I am canceling the January 6th press conference at Mar-a-Lago on Thursday, and instead we'll discuss many of those important topics at my rally on Saturday, January 15th in Arizona. I look forward to seeing our great American patriots in Arizona next weekend for a big rally to save America. Totally the right thing to do. Donald Trump, maybe you hate the guy, maybe you love the guy. Donald Trump understands politics and he understands stagecraft. And he understands when he's in a winning situation where he can get a big win, and he understands when you're in a situation and you can't get a win. The way the libs have framed January 6th is a complete loser. You can't win if you play into it. And so he recognized this and he said, okay, never mind. Whatever. We're going to have January 15th. That's going to be the new big day. And we're going to have a big rally and we're going to talk about how great America is, and we're not going to buy into their nonsense and the myriad lies that they told about what actually happened at the Capitol. Lies such as the rioters killing a police officer, Brian Sicknick, it was just completely made up. So yeah, we're going to ignore that. We're just going to move on. He had the right idea. We should follow course because Donald Trump knows a thing or two about politics. He knows a whole lot about state. Also, I should wish everybody a happy January 6th. A really, really wonderful day. Obviously, it's wonderful every single year that we celebrate January 6th. But just to imagine how glorious it must have been to be there at that blessed event, that day when wise men came from all over to worship their leader, the true leader of us all. It's just so fitting and so right. So I hope everybody is enjoying a blessed feast of the Epiphany, and I look forward to it next year. Already on this January 6th, this glorious blessed day, I am already looking forward to January 6th next year. By the time that rolls around, we might still be voting for the Speaker of the House. Today on January 6th, we remember the wise men who traveled from afar, defying an unjust government to support their leader, who happens to be the true leader of us all. I'm Micheal Knowles. This is the Micheal Knowles Show. Welcome back to this show. Happy Feast of the Epiphany, everyone. January 6th, what a great day when the wise men go to our Lord. It's what we should make, if you ask me, we should make January 6th a national holiday, a federal holiday. It's an important holiday in the history of our civilization, and America needs to recognize it too. I want a federal holiday on January 6th to celebrate that glorious, glorious day. Folks, I can't believe we made it this far and I haven't made an explicit reference to the day. You know what today is? Today is the day when wise men traveled to follow their leader, the true leader of us all, you know, in the face of an oppressive government. You know what I'm talking about? I'm talking about the Feast of the Epiphany. But the Feast of the Epiphany also coincides with the darkest day for democracy ever in all of the days of democracy and republics. I'm talking about January 6th, January 6th, the worst day ever. So anyway, Jeremy's Razors is offering you the opportunity to grieve, to mourn, to remember what almost could have been, and to hold space, particularly in your bathroom drawer. Today only, use code J6 at checkout for 6% off site-wide. This is my favorite sale. You know, we do these sales, 20% off Daily Wire, you know, with Mayflower, it's like 5% off, whatever. But 6% off. Maybe I got to stock up today. Go to jeremysrazors.com and shop wistfully now.